Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 20th regular business board meeting. We have some serious matters to discuss, but we're going to wait until after our youngest students present, and then I think they're going to be going home since they don't want to stay here until the very end of the meeting. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Copeland and to begin.
Good evening, everyone. We, as we do at each of our business meetings, we can have special presentations by members of our student body. This evening, we have representatives from Gladwin Elementary School, and they're going to be making a presentation on their STEM in the classroom. So I will turn it over to Mrs. Ellers.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am Veronica Ellers, the proud principal at Gladwin Elementary School. Thank you for the opportunity to share just a few of our STEM experiences taking place in the classrooms. 3 of our teachers that are a part of the elementary STEM cohort, Reva Rothenberger, Eileen McAnally, and Marisa Santangelo, who are in attendance tonight, have chosen 3 students in their first and second grade classrooms to share their reflections of recent lessons that were implemented. The 3 lessons that you will hear about tonight include the marble run, building a foundation, and designing a sail. I had the opportunity to observe 2 of these lessons and was impressed with how students independently practiced persistence, flexibility, listening, effective communication, and problem solving. So it is a pleasure to introduce to you our first student from 1R, Jess Sherman.
Marble run makerspace. I made a marble run with my 5th grade buddy, Emerson. We had to create 3 section marble run. Before we started, we had to plan our design by drawing a picture of our run. Then we had to brainstorm how we envisioned it to go. We used different materials like cubes and cardstock to make our runs. We wanted our run to go the farthest and the fastest. We ran into problems, and we had to debug our run before moving on. We changed the height using cubes and fold the paper differently. We persisted until we got our results. Our marble run was fast, and our went fast, and our marble run went far. Our marble run was success. I like working with my 5th grade buddy. We both like designing things.
Hi, my name is Alex Crawford. I am a 2nd grade student in Miss Santangelo's class at Gladwin Elementary School. One STEM challenge that I participated in was called the Gumdrop Challenge. In this challenge, each group received 30 gumdrops and toothpicks. Our goal was to build a structure that was stable enough to hold a book on top. My group and I had difficulty balancing out how many gumdrops we would need. One of our gumdrops ripped, and we realized we could use the gumdrops in that way. After building our structure, we tested it. The book did not stay on top of our structure, but we looked to see what wrong and improved our design. In this challenge, I learned if you are not successful at meeting your goal the first time, it is important to communicate with your group members, persevere, and create new ways to improve.
Hi, My name is Avery Punchard and I'm a second grader in Miss McAnally's class. After learning about Ellis Island in social studies, we did a design challenge where we had to make a sail for a boat to cross from one end of the track across the pretend Atlantic Ocean to the other end of the track, which is the Statue of Liberty. We had to use the engineering and design process, which is ask, imagine, plan, create, and improve. The first thing we did was look at the properties of all our materials to decide which ones would work best for a sail and which ones wouldn't. I thought that using a plastic bag on a popsicle stick would work best. After the class drew a design, they got their materials and created their sails. The goal was for the sail to be stable and get across the track successfully. Some sails sailed across right away, and their new goal was to improve the speed of their sail. When a sail failed, we had to try and figure out why and make improvements to our sail. Our class liked being able to think like an engineer. We knew it was okay to fail because we got to improve it again later. I'm excited to do more design challenges in 6th grade.
So these are just a few of the activities that the students highlighted this evening that supports the strategic plan. Throughout these types of projects, students have the opportunity to be more self-directed with their goal setting, along with positive risk-taking in an environment that is safe for them. Thank you for your time, and to the Gladwin students who just presented.
Oh, okay. Well, but we weren't sure if there was more to it, so no, that's okay. Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt them. So, well, thank you very much, Mrs. Ellers and the teachers for bringing these students who are such incredibly poised spokespeople for STEM education at such a young age. So we see a bright future for you all.
Just ask the STEM cohort, about how many teachers were involved in that? You guys remember? Throughout the district?
I would say about 30.
About
You
30.
have to come to the mic or we can't get you on video.
I would say about 30. There's a STEM cohort 1, STEM cohort 2, and there's currently a STEM cohort 3.
Great. And I know you participate in a lot of activities throughout the year, so we're moving along. Congratulations. Great job. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
So we're going to move on to the regular part of the meeting. So if you would like to take your parents home, then you may do so now. And we'll start in a moment.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, Alex. Thanks, God. Yeah, thank you. Great job.
Okay. So thank you for your patience as we wait to start the meeting. We wanted, obviously current events have been weighing heavily on all of us. And so we're going to discuss the issue of school safety shortly. But I wanted to start the meeting with a moment of silence in remembrance of the students and staff members who were murdered at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida last week. We stand together with students, teachers, staff, and administrators across the nation and the people who love them to say that we have had enough. We join them in demanding that our elected officials in Harrisburg and Washington, D.C. take actions that we know will prevent such massacres in the future. So please join me first for a moment of silence. I'm now going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Copeland.
Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. You know, in the beginning of the year, when we bring the whole staff together for a convocation, we talk about the goals for the year and the things that we want to accomplish. And this past September, I spoke about some of the things that, as a school superintendent, don't always make it into the board meeting. And I spoke about the fact that my 5 years ago, when I was just starting as superintendent in Neshaminy, I was at a meeting at the Bucks County Intermediary Unit in Doylestown, and in the middle of the meeting, somebody said, "There's been a school shooting in Newtown," and all of us were immediately sort of sent to the Council Rock District, where our friend Mark Klein was superintendent, and then somebody said, no, it's Newtown, Connecticut. But that instant sense of fear was palpable, and you don't forget it. And the fact that these incidences continue to happen are of significant concern for us. After that Sandy Hook incident, where I was absolutely convinced we were going to see significant changes, I was positive, and where so little has happened since then, it has been such an amazing concern for us. And then what took place last week. So the Lower Merion District, however, once that took place, immediately put together a school security task force and gave a report of its findings to the Board of Education in May of 2013. Now, in part, that report can be found on our website under the section for the boards. It's a heavily redacted report because some of the specific information and issues that were found around the facilities are not there for obvious reasons. We want to keep that safe. But this situation that took place in Parkland, Florida, and I want you to know, and I'm going to share with you a summary of some things that have been going on in the district in the last 5 years. People have come to us with even more suggestions. So in consultation with the board leadership, we're going to redo that security task force. We're going to have another one. It's probably a good time. It's been 5 years. There's been but we have not been implementing the things that were recommended, and in fact gone beyond that. So let me share just a few. Lower Merion School District has taken steps and precautions in all of our buildings in an effort to keep our students and staff safe. While specific details can't always be shared, I can identify some of the actions. As a result of the School Safety Task Force that was convened in 2013, many recommendations were made and acted upon. These included significant security modifications to main entrances of Bala-Cynwyd Middle School, Cynwyd Elementary School, Penn Valley, Penn Wynne, added security cameras and door access controls in Bala-Cynwyd, basically all of the elementary and middle schools with the exception of high schools because they had already been done as part of their new construction. Added security fences and gates to Bala-Cynwyd Middle School, Belmont Hills, Cynwyd, and Marion, including around the recess areas. Improved loading dock and operations procedures at the schools that were identified as areas of concern. Added visual aids for staff to look through locked doors. Improved mobile phone reception for emergency communications at Bala-Cynwyd and Penn Valley, and that's still ongoing. The district's emergency operating procedures were reviewed and revised. Moving forward, the district is implementing a multi-hazard operations plan endorsed by Montgomery County School Safety Coordinator to be ready for the 2018-19 school year. In 2014, a presentation of armed intruder drills was given by Steve Beck, Montgomery County Schools Safety Coordinator. And last year, I increased the presence of Lower Merion Police Department within our schools on a regular basis. Our continued efforts that include, but are not limited to, all schools conducting at least 3 lockdown drills per school year, a series of presentations and drills being held within our district coordinated by the Office of Montgomery County School Safety and the Lower Merion Police Department. One drill done in November 2017 was a tabletop exercise with county emergency management and district principals. This exercise allowed us to evaluate our emergency operations plan, review strengths and weaknesses, improve coordination and communication, and clarify roles and responsibilities. Ongoing training and drills are in place, and our administrators have taken advantage of internal and external training, one of which included campus aids from both high schools and was presented by Dr. Peter Langman, an expert in the psychology of school shooters, titled Inside the Minds of School Shooters, which focused on identifying people and situations. As I said, increasing police presence in our schools is an area that we have been working on and already scheduled a program this Tuesday, February 27th at 7 p.m. at Kinwood Elementary School entitled Lmsd and Lower Merion Police Department Community and School Collaboration for parental guardians and targets interaction at the elementary school level. In closing, I think it's important to add that the district continues its efforts to keep our schools safe in many ways, including, but not limited to, the Student-Assisted Program START is a state-required program in place that guarantees confidentiality and anonymity for students who report any suspicious behavior. Age-appropriate programs are in place at each of our schools to help prepare students. The programs focus on helping students deal with conflict and target bullying, personal safety, and self-advocacy. These programs build resilience and assist in creating an emotionally stable population of students and reviewing our safety procedures. Many of you, as I mentioned, reached out about specific incidences that you have seen at school. The principals and I appreciate that and are acting on the information you've given us. You may have read, I think, there was an article in the paper, Baldwin School had active shooter. We also will have those drills in our schools, too. And some are scheduled for the end of March. They're not done when students are in the school. And our administrators have gone and viewed other active shooter situations. I'm hopeful that the situation that's taken place is going to change. And I'm hopeful because I saw the students who look just like ours. They're smart, they're articulate, and they care. And I think that's going to make a significant difference. I'm also going to make some recommendations to our legislative committee. I found out that it costs $30 to renew your driver's license in Pennsylvania. It costs $20 to renew your gun license. Something's wrong about that. And so that's what I want to mention the meeting. Sorry, yes. We moved up the Ask the Superintendent meeting from, I forget when it was, to March 4th. And I'll have staff with me, and we'll be able to answer questions in a more informal setting at the Academy building.
So thank you. I assume we'll put out a notice for that meeting.
Sure. The notice is out, but we'll make it clearer what it's about.
And whether we talked about maybe moving it, so that's why I don't know how many people are interested.
Yeah, it's Sunday afternoon. If we have to move it, I can make arrangements to probably just duck into BC.
Okay, but we'll send an email out about that. Okay, thank you very much for that update, Mr. Copeland. Okay, at this time, we'll take audience recognition on agenda items only. If you'd like to speak to an agenda item, now is the time to do so. At the end of the meeting, you can speak on any issue you choose to do so. Is there anyone? When you're ready to speak, please say your name and generally where you live in the district, and then there's our 3-minute limit, as I know that you're all aware of.
Ruth, you can speak at this time after Adrian, if you want to come up.
Okay.
And we're not voting on anything about it, but I think that if people want to make a comment now, they can.
Okay. One sec, I'm sorry. just on the other thing, please remember that most active shooters are students already. Are Adrian Seltzer, Lower Merion. Our students already, so they would have gone through all those drills. So please have a couple side things up your sleeve. Okay. I was really dismayed when I heard that the site at 1860 Montgomery was turned down. I was really annoyed when I read the PowerPoint presentation as to why. I have been studying the Lower Merion Comprehensive Plan, which is to update the zoning in the township. Have you guys read it? I will assume you haven't, because that's the only conclusion I can come to after reviewing the February 5th facilities update. Basically, from the report, you are concerned with impervious surfaces. Lower Merion is planning on changing the zoning for institutions from residential to other in order to keep the institutions from encroaching on the surrounding neighborhoods. Hence, the site would no longer be zoned R1 and have the same impervious surface limits. Maybe you should talk to the township. Then you're throwing at the site because you can't get enough field space. Why are the fields at Harriton not considered for use? I noticed a lot of land wasted on single-level parking at Harriton and Lower Merion High School that could have been used for field space. To me, and I guess many others, it would seem much easier to find a space for a field than for a whole school with your required, in quotes, field space, especially when, according to the comprehensive plan, the township and Lower Merion School District should explore shared recreational facilities overall. Since Lower Merion School District provides indoor facilities, mostly gymnasiums, to support community programs, and the township is contemplating upgrades to its community centers. In the future, the township and Lower Merion should actively partner with the other private institutions to ensure that recreational needs of the community are met. And number one, under goal 1 of enriching the parks, etc., is to increase the number and quality of sports fields. That's something the township's doing. The township wants to work with you. They want to develop coordinated capital budgets between the township and schools district. And I quote, "The current lack of integration between the township and Lower Merion School District operational and financial planning creates municipal inefficiencies." If you just do the neighborhood stabilization, you still have the same amount of tracks and fields, and you have the increased growth. How are you planning on addressing that in the neighborhood stabilization plan when you are losing field and recess space?
Thank you, Ms. Seltzer. That was not actually on the agenda, so if anyone else wants to address these issues, can you please wait until the end of the meeting? This is supposed to be for agenda items only,
Right.
and we're not voting on this at this time.
No, I'm
So-
sorry. We'll read the rest of it after.
I think it's Ruth's turn next. Thank you.
I have something on the agenda and something for later.
You can come up twice, Ruth.
Ruth Jenkins in Wynwood. I was wondering if, I was trying to find on the website of the Marionite whether there is a plan for the students of Lower Merion to participate in the planned activity in solidarity with the Florida students. Are there arrangements? Are there permits? Are there parent permission slips? Do you know if this is happening? That's on the agenda. So my other two things are for later.
So, as I indicated, I think one of the things that's really been breathtaking is the student participation nationally. We certainly want that to, if students want to participate, we certainly want to support that, but we also want to do it safely. So I am concerned about a planned, announced demonstration where the students are going to be out in the open. So we're asking our students to work with our administrators at each of the buildings so that we can do what we need to do and let them express themselves in a safe manner, and that's ongoing.
So Mindy and Mark, was your thing For later? Okay. Andrew, you can go ahead.
Okay. Andrew Abramson, Villanova. I am a parent of 2 kids in Lower Merion School District. I'm also a business owner in the district, and wanted to start with something, and apologies in respect to the original author of this, but it seemed apropos to write it like this. First, they came for any kids in any other country but ours, and I didn't speak out or do anything because I lived in the United States. Then they came for the kids in Colorado, and I didn't speak out or do anything because I didn't live in Colorado. Then they came for the kids in Maine and Florida, and I didn't speak out or do anything because I didn't live in either of those states. Then they came for my kids, and they were dead, and now it doesn't matter if anyone speaks for them. My huge concern with what's going on, more than anything else, is that as we talk and have lots of meetings which are vital and important, and education is key, protection is number one. I was a former psychotherapist. We learned about Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs. The bottom level of the hierarchy is food, shelter, water. Shelter in this case would be protection for the children. If our kids aren't safe, if they don't feel safe, if something happens in Lower Merion, and it just takes one, it doesn't matter about what educational plans we have in place because we're dealing with an entire other beast altogether. I am fully engaged in being a part of whatever moving forward would come to help to support building something much better and much quicker than may actually happen. Waiting until the end of March or April, while I get it, is a part of me that's really nervous that there might be somebody else just waiting in the wings. I've worked with lots of kids as a psychotherapist, kids with every kind of disorder from Asperger's and autism to personality construct disorders and everything in between. And I can tell you that none of us can ever know. So it can and will happen to us. It's happened nearby Drexel Hill. With everything else going on, my hope is that we can very quickly assess each school. I can tell you very quickly about Gladwin Elementary School and all of the openings that anybody that would want to kill the kids could very easily do. Because I, as a parent, can very easily access these places, and somebody with motivation and a gun could do the same. So I appreciate your time. I look forward to hearing about any opportunities I can to serve and to help to support building something very strong and making Lower Merion ahead of the game and not reactive after something occurs. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
So let me just react to the last speaker. So yes, when I sent out the letter to the community last week, one of the things that I asked was if there were concerns that anybody had in any particular schools to please immediately go to the principal and talk about those. So there's no need to wait for that, and we've picked up a few. I heard about some issues at some of the middle schools, and the principals are already on those kinds of things.
Okay, at this time, I need approval of the minutes from the attached Board of School Directors meetings, February 5th, special meeting of the board facilities update, February 12th, Education Committee, February 20th, regular business, and the board accepts the following committee meeting minutes, February 6th, curriculum, February 9th, policy, February 15th, facilities and purchasing. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. I think it's over to you.
Okay, I'm going to go right to human resources. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached human resources sections HR 1 through HR 6.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. We'll now have a report from Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say that with the approval of the personnel section, we have a new administrator, and our Director of Community Relations, Amy Buckman, is here. Would you like to come and say a few words, Amy? I was going to play that little theme music as you got out there. Dun, dun, dun.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say that I'm thrilled and honored and looking forward to serving the board, the administration, the staff, the students, and the community in this challenging new role for me as Director of School and Community Relations. I am a Lower Merion alumna. I'm a Lower Merion parent, I'm a Lower Merion resident, a Lower Merion taxpayer, and so on many, many levels, I feel that this is a perfect fit for me, and I think will serve the community well. When I left television over 3 years ago, people said to me, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "I want to use my communication skills for something I can be passionate about." And for the past 3 years, I've been working as the public relations manager and special events manager for the Inquirer Daily News and Philly.com because journalism is very important to me. And maintaining independent local journalism was a mission that I could commit myself to fully. And something else that's very important to me as a public school graduate and parent is public education. And so I look forward to bringing my energy, my skills, and my experience to this new role, and looking forward to many more fun-filled evenings in this room. Thank you.
Welcome.
And good luck with that.
Now we're going to have a report of the Curriculum Committee meeting from Dr. Van Lynch.
Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. The Curriculum Committee met on Tuesday, February 6th, in this room. The first item on the agenda was a course proposal for our high school students' AP Human Geography. Doctors Leslie Pratt and Paul McKenna, Harridan High School Social Studies Chair, and Mr. Chad Henneberry, Lower Merion High School Social Studies Chair, provided the committee with an overview and rationale for providing students with AP Human Geography in their course offerings. A description as well as the purpose of the course was presented, as well as the potential profile of interested students. AP Geography would be offered to our 11th or 12th grade students, or 11th and 12th grade students. Once students have taken the global study sequence, the course would be designed in the following ways: to enhance global awareness, offer students experience with integrative units of study, participate in a culturally responsive social science curriculum driven by contemporary questions and problems, and complement the overall global studies experience. The framework of the course aligns with the district's strategic plan and provides increased access for our students to AP course offerings. Challenges presented and also raised by the committee and board included scheduling nuances and impact on existing course offerings. And these were discussed at length at the curriculum committee meeting and presented again at the February 12th education meeting, all of which can be viewed on our website. Anticipated costs include teacher training, summer curriculum development, purchasing course text, related resources, professional teacher materials, and support for field experiences, which would be embedded in the course, that totaling between $38,000 and $50,000. So some of those costs are still being considered, but that's the range of cost. The curriculum committee asked additional questions, as did the community, again, around, sunsetting courses in their AP curriculum if those are not subscribed to as frequently, and also recommended moving the geography course, AP geography course, forward for full board consideration this evening. Our presentation topic was from Mr. Sean Hughes, Lower Merion High School principal, who presented the principal's superintendent report and shared with the committee the way in which the report is developed and the number of aspects that are relevant for him as a principal. Mr. Hughes described his use of the report as a fluid, timely, and professionally reciprocal approach to supporting teaching and learning in Lower Merion High School. He also shared that the report is developed and utilized in the following ways: to reinforce and clarify what is valued, organize principal and teacher work, identify areas of need, provide transparency that is both informative and expected, allow for a process of self-assessment, give a more comprehensive view of the instructional aspect of our schools and building leadership, allow for the selection of specific artifacts that will encourage engagement, critical dialogue, and two-way feedback, and inform and create action plans. In developing the report, each principal reflects on 6 common topics surrounding their pedagogical beliefs, provides teacher and student artifacts around those 6 topics, and provides examples of principal feedback on some of the artifacts. Principals meet quarterly with superintendent and the assistant superintendent to review the report, discuss themes, trends, action steps, or any significant outcomes. Mr. Hughes presented the committee with a number of artifacts and examples that were relevant to his report, and Mr. Copeland added the benefit of having such a report, particularly in terms of having all of the information in one place to be able to support teaching and learning. Our update from Dr. Everslag and Mr. Cody was around the comprehensive PDE comprehensive plan, which will also be aligned with the district's strategic plan all forward. The timeline for gathering relevant data was presented, and the final draft submission date will be May 1st, 2018. And there'll be significant time between now and then for public input and view of the PDE comprehensive plan. Again, all videotape education meeting presentations and accompanying slides are available on the board docs link as well as the district website. And our next meeting date is Tuesday, March 6th at 8:30 a.m. in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. I think you have to do the educational service.
Oh, yes. Under educational service. Educational Services, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached field trips. And further, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approve the new course proposal for AP Human Geography to begin in the 2018-2019 school year.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion's passed.
Under Student Services, I'd like to take items A and B in one motion. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the student service items as listed, agreement with the students receiving non-district educational services SS1. And further, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached contract with Hobson's Naviance in the amount of $113,993.35 for a 5-year term from August 21st, 2018 to August 20th, 2023, subject to solicitor review.
Are there any questions?
I did have a question just on Naviance. I don't know if it's Mr. Copeland or if there's another administrator that can just provide a general overview of some of the benefits of using Naviance and how our students and school counselors tend to use the program.
Sure. Naviance has a significant amount of data in it. A student can go in, they can see what other students from their school went to a particular school they're interested in, what are the requirements. It will help them build their resume, as it were. It's one of the most used guidance support pieces of software that we have.
Okay. And then when do they start in middle school, Mr. Copeland? With Yes?
Yes.
Sixth
Yes,
grade?
they start in 6th grade.
Sixth grade. I'm like, who is talking? Okay.
6th grade.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved. Was there, I'm sorry, do you have a question? I'm sorry.
I didn't hear the, do I have a second? Thank you, David. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Okay, we will now have a report from Mr. Driscoll on the Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting.
Thank you. We met this past Thursday at 8:30 in this room, and we began by reviewing and recommending for approval the list of bills. We then moved on to review and recommend for approval the district contract, which is the Hobson's Naviance at $22,798.67 per year for 5 years. This is a renewal contract for this software that's already been described, and we've been using it for 10 to 15 years at some point. We then reviewed and recommended for approval the following items in the purchasing report. One item from Clipper Pipe and Service Inc. for $214,000. This is a contract to replace the 2 chillers at Ballackinwood Middle School. These chillers are approximately 20 years old and have neared the end of their useful life. This project is listed in the 5-year facilities plan, and the bidding was done through a state consortium bidding process. We reviewed and recommended for approval a contract with Presidio Network Solutions for $8,800. Presidio will conduct the second phase implementation for a previously purchased Cisco Identity Services engine. We then reviewed and recommended for approval a contract with Visual Sound for $14,136.75. This is the annual maintenance software package that upgrades and supports our interactive projector systems in the various classrooms. We then reviewed and recommended for approval an upgrade contract with CenturyLink, formerly known as Level 3, for 3 years of internet service at $2,800 per month for a total of $100,800. As the number of internet devices within the district has increased, we are in need of additional bandwidth. This contract is to purchase additional bandwidth starting in July 2018. The district is also applying for an E-rate discount on this contract. We reviewed and recommended for approval the contract with Buy Board National Purchasing Cooperative for $0. The district is already a member of several other purchasing cooperatives, and by joining this cooperative, the district anticipates being able to purchase additional goods and services at competitive rates. We reviewed and recommended for approval a lease contract with First String Sports LLC for $3,200. First String Sports will lease the gymnasium at Lower Marion High School to run a basketball camp for kids during 2 weeks this summer. Reviewed and recommended for approval a contract with Gilmore & Associates for a not-to-exceed amount of $140,000. A stormwater basin at Harriton is failing and needs replacement. This contract is for the design, bidding, support, and construction monitoring of that replacement basin. We reviewed and recommended for approval a new master agreement with Barry Izett & Associates for $0. We've updated this master agreement to bring it up to current practices and regulations. If work is needed in the future from this group, individual work orders will be drafted under this master agreement. We reviewed and recommended for approval an individual work order with Snyder Hoffman Associates for a not-to-exceed amount of $9,900. A boiler at Belmont Hills Elementary has failed and needs replacement. Belmont Hills has a second boiler that should adequately heat the building for the rest of the winter. This contract is for Snyder Hoffman to provide designs and drawings for a new boiler to be installed at Belmont Hills this summer. We reviewed and recommended for approval a renewal contract with Clean Fuels Consulting for a not-to-exceed amount of $9,975. Clean Fuels has been very instrumental in obtaining several hundred thousands of dollars of grant money to help offset the district's operational costs involving fossil fuels. That concluded our business. We then moved on to information where we discussed the Welsh Valley and Ballackinwood cafeteria upgrades, and we did discuss the Harriton turf replacement. There are some local boosters that are raising money to put a logo in the center of that field. I think that decision was made in March, and the turf is scheduled to be replaced beginning in May. Our next meeting will be March 15th at 8:30 in this room.
Thank you, Mr. Driscoll.
Under Business Office and Finance, I'd like to take action items B through F in one motion. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the following action items: approve the list of bills, approve the financial report for January 2018, accept with pleasure pursuant to Policy 702, gifts, grants, and donations, a donation of $575 from Diane and Lawrence Blum for books for the Marion Elementary School's library, a donation of $1,200 from Penn Valley Elementary Home and School Association and the class of 2018 to purchase 2 outdoor benches for the grounds of Penn Valley Elementary School, a donation of 2 wall-mounted hand dryers plus installation valued at $1,100 for the Marion Elementary Home and School Association to Marion Elementary School. Approve the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit 2018 School District Membership Services Budget and declare surplus equipment as surplus property and authorize the disposition thereof as per the attachment.
Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for the donations to Marion and Penn Valley. We really appreciate it. Are there any questions? This was, again, all reviewed in detail at our committee meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
Under Facilities and Operations section, I'd like to take items A through J in one motion. All these items were reviewed in detail at the Purchasing and Finance Committee meeting as noted in Mr. Driscoll's report. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approve the following action items. Award the contract to replace chillers at Bella Cua Middle School. Approve the Bi-Board National Purchasing Cooperative Interlocal Participation Agreement. Approve the license agreement with First String Sports LLC for the 2018 summer basketball camp for a fee of $3,200, and that's subject to solicitor's review. Approve the master agreement for professional services with Gilmore Associates, Inc., and the individual work order number 1 for a fee not to exceed $140,000. Approve the amended and restated master agreement for professional services with Barry Isett and Associates, Inc. Approve the individual work order for professional services with Clean Fuels Consulting for grant administration and preparation services for a not-to-exceed fee of $9,975. Approve the individual work order from Snyder Hoffman Associates, Inc. for replacement of boiler number 1 at Belmont Hills Elementary for a not-to-exceed fee of $9,900. Approve quotes from CenturyLink / Level 3 for increased use of Internet accessible services to start January 1st, 2018 as subject to the solicitor's review. Approve the quote from Presidio for Cisco ISE system in the amount of $8,800. Approve the quote from Visual Sound for Smart Notebook Software annual maintenance in the amount of $14,136.75.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Sorry. We are now going to have a report by Ms. Robinson of the Policy Committee meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. The Policy Committee met on February 9th, 2018 in this room at 8:30 a.m. For second reading, we have Policy 356, 356, 456, 556, crowdfunding. The Solicitor's Office has recommended that we adopt these new policies, which ensure that all crowdfunding campaigns conducted by district employees relating to their roles as district employees have prior written approval of the administration. Policy 134 was then discussed. District-provided technology resources. This policy and its 2 accompanying regulations relate to student use of technology resources provided by the district before high school. They have been updated to reflect current practices and procedures as well as to address some language usage. There's an AR which addresses student email accounts and web and cloud-based storage and applications. Policy 137 discusses district-issued laptops, student rights and responsibilities. This policy relates to the protocols for issuing, monitoring, and handling situations relating to student laptops issued by the district. The administrative regulation includes approved forms, procedures for reporting stolen or lost laptops, and other notices. For first reading, we discussed Policy 812, food services. This policy has been revisited to more accurately reflect current language and procedures related to student meal accounts. For example, the free milk language has been removed from snacks as milk is no longer offered with the snack due to many allergies. Instead, water is offered. The administrative regulation accompanying this policy has also been amended to reflect that when a student's meal account goes negative, they can no longer purchase snack items from the a la carte menu. Parents and guardians may request in writing that the district restrict their child's purchase of a la carte items at any time. Further, procedures for collecting negative balances are detailed in the AR. No child will be denied a regular school meal due to insufficient funds unless the district is directed to do so in writing by the student's parent or guardian. And finally, we discussed two policies. One is Administrative Regulation 201, Admission of Beginners, which details the procedures for seeking early admission to first grade for students who missed the age or date cutoff. The change is to this AR is an update to the listing of tests required to be performed to document the request. Specifically, parents or guardians need to request an exception to the date deadline by writing accompanied by a school psychologist report. The school psychologist report will be obtained at the expense of the parents or guardians and must follow the guidelines set forth in this AR. Finally, we discussed Policy 202, non-resident students. The language in this policy has been changed to state school term rather than school year. This does not change the meaning, intention, or how the policy is carried out, but rather just a clarification to reflect current procedure. The next Policy Committee meeting will be held on March 9th at 8:30 a.m. in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Suba. The attached policies were reviewed for a second reading, as Ms. Robinson said. 134, district-provided technology resources, student use rights and responsibilities. 137, district-issued laptops, students' use rights and responsibilities. And 356, 456, 556, crowdfunding. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. The following policy was reviewed for a first reading, Policy 812, food service. Are there any other committee reports? Did I miss anybody? No. Okay. At this time, we will have audience recognition on any item. So if you'd like to sign up to be able to speak, please state your name and generally where you live in the district. 3-minute limit. So please come in and sign it.
So we have Mindy and Mark that are already signed in from earlier. That was you said yours were 9 or you're not going at all? Okay.
Yeah, they were going to complete mine and then I'll get to complete it.
Oh, all right. You can go ahead and sign in there. You can go ahead, Mark.
Good evening, Mark Hirschman, Villanova. First, nothing should surprise us anymore with what happened at Parkland, but it does. You know, we see it in Orlando, we see it in California, we see it, but everywhere across the country, and yet nothing changes. I'm curious if anybody within the Lower Marion School District has just gone around the various schools and tried different doors of entry. And if so, what have you found? Can you get in? Are there main entrances only in which somebody has access to, or they have to ring a bell to gain access? So I'm curious about that. Also, what teachers or administrators, if any, are now licensed and able to carry guns? I'm not a gun proponent, trust me. The other thing I want to ask about, and it hasn't been addressed here tonight, is what is the status of the property at 1860 Montgomery Avenue? Has any decision been made? If so, what that decision is and how that decision was derived. I've spoken about this a number of times. Every meeting I've attended, everyone in the audience that has spoken about this has voiced their opinion that they want the school there, even those who live in the other areas of town want the school built on that property. We've heard a number of times that there isn't adequate space for a field or a track, but yet other schools that don't have certain fields or tracks or a swimming pool get bused or they transported somehow to other facilities to use those fields, tracks, or pools. So that to me is not a valid argument. I live in that neighborhood. I was there when the Junior Christian College was there. Everything that that everyone talked about having was there at one point in time. So I'd like to find out what the status is on that, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's somebody else, right? Adrian?
I have to look through the papers and find the exact spot where I was. All right. Hi, Adrian Seltzer, Winwood, Stand Up for Lower Merion, representing them too. I left off with asking you to please work with the township. They are redoing the zoning. They are in the midst of making that comprehensive plan a reality. They want input from everyone. And just to kind of say again, the current lack of integration between Township and Lower Merion School District operational and financial planning creates municipal inefficiencies. And that means taxes are higher. And at the same point that I'm saying that, I'm also saying that you need a middle school. So there are balances. And if you just do neighborhood stabilization, you still have the same amount of tracks and fields for that increased growth. How are you planning on addressing that in the neighborhood stabilization plan when you will be losing field and recess space? You already don't trust the demographic studies. People my age will continue to move out of their 3- and 4-bedroom homes, and young families will move in. Amounts your studies cannot predict. Neighborhood stabilization will cost tens of millions of dollars and leave us with no flexibility. The building of a new middle school will add flexibility to the district, allowing for both growth and cyclical declines in student population, leaving open an option to then add full-day kindergarten, which is something as a first-class school district we really should have. And because the township zoning and comprehensive plans were overlooked, I respectfully request that you reopen your investigation into the 1860s site, start seriously working with the township, and as Alex Crawford said at the beginning, when not being successful the first time, it is important to communicate with your group member, persevere, and create new ways to improve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, also, how did the kids know, did the kids know when their balances are, was I out of time?
Yep, you're out of time. Let's,
The kids know when their balances are negative.
yes, they do.
Ruth Jenkin in Winwood. I'd also like to address the overcrowding of the schools and the need for a middle school, and the many of the students especially in the Penguin area, will get bused to either a middle school or a high school. So why not just bus them to this new middle school? The Band-Aid type of fix, which we've been doing by adding more classrooms without consideration of the needs outside of the four walls, such as the hallways, the bathrooms, the lunchroom, the auditorium, the gymnasiums, the playgrounds, are all impacted by the extra students in these added classrooms. That type of environment is not what we want, especially for our elementary schools. My other comment was that I was informed that the baseball team has a new coach, and the coach is requiring the students to purchase practice uniforms for the cost of $135 of their own money. And he seems to have a connection with the company that's going to provide these uniforms. This is not a private school system, and students should not be required to purchase uniforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins.
I'll take Mrs. Jenkins' last comment. I'll certainly look into that issue with the uniforms. Let me talk about 1860 and the whole issue. I think it was the board, in fact, I think it's the current board president, who asked me about a 5 through 8 middle school a while ago, a long time ago. And my response was, it is probably the most proactive thing we could do. Why would it be proactive? Because you're removing the 5th grade from the elementary schools, leaving you with more room. It allows you to be more proactive in terms of your growth. So that's been my position since the very beginning. So we began to look at where we could find a place to do it, because just simply saying build a 5-8 is only part of the issue. We looked at, and first of all, we've spent a significant amount of money trying to make the 1860 site work. We have had many meetings with people, and we've also had meetings with township staff. The issue is not entirely impervious surface. The issue is also, as we said in the presentation, the slopes and the disturbing of the slopes. And not being able to disturb those slopes made it impossible to get the field space in there. So then we looked at where else we could find areas. We looked at Harriton for a track. Now, the problem is our current middle schools put about 100 to 150 kids on a track, and there would be no place for the kids from the middle school and the Harriton team. What's interesting is every school, every secondary school has to look off its property for field space, including Harriton. So they don't have enough space at Harriton for all of the teams that they have. So we looked at all of that, and one of the things that I said, and again, our professionals work with the professionals at the township. Let me just say one other thing about the LMSD and the township working together. It was the Lower Merion School District Board of School Directors who implemented the intergovernmental program. So it was the board who said, we really want to invite Narberth and Lower Merion to the table so that we can have these discussions and they have periodic meetings. But that was at the origination of the Lower Merion School District Board of Directors. And so, you know, can we use the parks? Well, apparently we can't use Ashbridge Park, because if we could, that would solve a significant amount of the problems that we would have if we were going to go onto the 1860 site. I would love to find a place for a 5 through 8 middle school that was not going to be such a compromise in terms of programs that we would be spending over $100 million and not be able to fulfill even close to the kinds of programs we have at the other two schools. When and if we should issue a bond for about $100 million, by the way, and Mr. Orlando and I are looking at that, we're looking at how to pay for that. That means that our debt service goes up. Our debt service will probably go up from $28 million to about $31 million. The cost of just the operation of the building is about another $4 million. So there's a period of time there, you're talking about a $7 million increase. And so we'll be presenting our financial plan fairly soon to indicate what we want to do. We are currently looking at the seminary. We would very much like to find a piece of property that works, but at this point in time, I could not recommend to the board that we use 1860 under the current conditions that we have now.
I would also say that Mr. Driscoll sits on the committee for the township's zoning discussions. I cannot remember the official title.
Look it up.
It's okay. There's a committee, and he's on that committee as well. At this time, Mr. Roos, can you talk about the sunshine laws?
Yes. There was a board retreat on January 27th at which there was an executive session held where the board considered but did not take official action on the purchase of real estate. Additionally, there were also executive sessions on February 5th regarding real estate, February 12th regarding litigation in real estate, and today, February 20th, regarding litigation and negotiations. That's negotiations with the LMEA.
Okay, I'm sorry, what is going on over here? do you want to, I'm a little bit confused. He wasn't on the list? It's okay? Okay.
I neglected to answer a couple of Mr. Hirschhorn's questions, and I apologize. One was about the doors. Admittedly, one of the problems we have is a lot of times people hold open doors, let somebody in, and so forth and so on. So those little issues about, letting somebody in when they shouldn't and so forth, we need to address that, and that needs to be a priority. There's a lot of debate about teachers carrying pistols. It's not my recommendation. The use of a firearm is what's called a perishable skill, and it's not just about target practice. It's about being prepared in frankly, a combat situation, and that, I would argue, takes significant skills.
I just, because you weren't here at the time, that was an issue that was discussed when we had the task force prior, and both the expert and community recommendations were against that.
When was that task force meeting?
It was, as Mr. Copeland said at the beginning of the meeting, we had a task force that was formed it was right after Sandy Hook, May 2013. Was when the report
was done.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the task force went on for months, but the report is on the website. Maybe we can get that link for you, although much of it is redacted for obvious reasons. And we've continued to deal with these issues on an ongoing manner. So, but there are issues that have to do with sort of community concerns as around things like, metal detectors and guns and those kinds of things, which were part of a large, community discussion at that time. Now we're having the task force reopen, but I think it was a pretty clear message around some of those issues. But again, we're having that discussion as well. But there was a comprehensive task force that included, in addition to teachers and parents and community members, it included, police force and professionals in sort of security fields as well. So that was done. I want to be very clear that we have been extremely proactive around the security issues for a long time now. So, and will continue to do so. And we've been changing things even over the last year, not in response to any particular incident, but as more information becomes available, as we find out, as sort of the state of the art of how schools are responding changes, then we are changing as well. Is that fair to say? But we are having a meeting, which we will be sending out, and we can have sort of more discussions at that time. I did do the committee meeting dates, did I? I still need to do the dates. Sorry, thank you. Got a little bit off topic here. Well, not off topic, but out of order. Okay, so let me we did the sunshine, right? Okay, and let me just give the board meeting dates, upcoming board meeting dates, which is March 12th is an education committee meeting. March 19th is a regular business board meeting. Those are Monday evenings at 8. Committee meeting dates, which are held here. Wednesday, February 28th, Communications Committee, 7 p.m. Tuesday, March 6th, Curriculum Committee, 8:30 a.m. Friday, March 9th, Policy Committee, 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, March 14th, Finance Committee, and that's going to be a budget, that's part of the budget process, and that's a review of the operations budget. That's at 8:30 a.m., and it will be videotaped. March 15th, Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. And March 21st, Communications Committee at 8:30 a.m. So I think at this point, we are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.